Hi, hello, this is Jody Sharami at Astro Podcast. And I'm also at Jody Boots 22 on YouTube and Astro Podcast on Instagram and Jody Boots on X. So today is Friday, March the 6th, and the Libra moon at 24 degrees and 19 seconds or minutes will be opposing Chiron in Aries, also at the same degrees at the opposite sign. But it's kind of really, as I want to call it, a dress rehearsal for the Aries season coming up, because Chiron is in Aries and the Libra moon has been here for the past few days and is shifting out later on this evening. And as it prepares to do that, it runs into Chiron, the great healer, the centaur, the healing comet. And so again, we keep reiterating the same themes, because every time someone moves around at all, they're going to be going opposite of these planets, or squaring them, or conjoining them, as we keep speaking about for the next couple years. It's just going to be happening, and you'll start to see the patterns, and you'll start to recognize when this happens, it seems this happens in my life, or when this happens, I seem to feel this way. And that's how you kind of keep tabs on yourself, and that means you have to be in touch with yourself. And that's why I'm calling it the dress rehearsal for Aries season, because we're still in Pisces season, and we have 2 more weeks until the sun shifts into Aries, where it's exalted and it's happy being there. And there is a current war that the U.S. has just gotten involved in with Israel, and it again is in the Middle East. And so now Aries again, because Mars rules there, it rules over conflicts and energy, and what do we do with our energy? How do we act to our energy? So that's what's happening now. So this is, again, it always seems like the universe knows what we need to do, what we need to be thinking about to help our species have evolution and move on. Right now in Florida, where I am, in the Tampa Bay area, it is so warm out, my AC is on. And I have it pretty high, the temperature, to where it doesn't need to come on unless it gets this warm. And have my fans on. But if you look outside, the sun is just super bright and just shining down. And it's great for my plants. I'm getting all kinds of flowers already, so I'm very excited about that. And so Mercury's still retrograde until the 20th. We do have a lot of time to look at ourselves and use this Chiron in Aries to help heal ourselves. The moon in Libra is going to also, after its connection to Chiron in Aries, it's going to move into Scorpio. And when it moves into Scorpio, it begins to set itself up for an opposition to Scorpio's opposite sign, which is Taurus, who's hosting Uranus. So the moon in Scorpio by the 9th, which is this Monday, is going to be opposing Uranus at 27 degrees of Uranus, as the moon moves into Scorpio at 27 degrees by Monday. Because Libra moon today will be shifting out and heading into Scorpio by tomorrow, Saturday, as it prepares to leave on Mondays, when it has that opposition to Uranus in Taurus. This is a huge deal, and I'll come back to that in a minute. Also today, the moon is meeting up with Vesta. And Vesta is in Aquarius. So they're having a nice meeting. And the Libra moon and Vesta, because they're both in air signs, are communicating and wanting us to be optimistic not to get negative, have these thoughts that spiral out of control, and then you get fearful and you react out of being fearful, and that's really kind of not a good idea right now with Mars in Pisces, not really having quite a grip on actions that I could come out of that unless it's spiritually based. And I don't mean a negative spiritually based where you're fooling people and deluding them. I mean a spiritually based person that wants good for everyone and understands everyone's equal in the eyes of nature, and we're all here to learn from each other, to become able to help others, which is a big thing that human beings need to learn how to do, is have empathy and help their fellow person. If they see someone hurting, that they help them. There's a lot of help from the universe. Well, today, the big thing today I keep forgetting to talk about is that Venus has shifted into Aries. And today, on March the 6th, Venus is the star, and that's why I'm calling this the dress rehearsal for Aries season, because now Aries is hosting a stellium already with Chiron being there. It was the stellium, but Chiron is more of a planet that it's a comet, and a lot of times not considered in your main chart. So now we have Venus, Saturn, and Neptune all in Aries. So now we have stellium. And again, we have 6 planets now in Pisces because one has just shifted into Aries. And so Venus coming into Aries now is becoming the spiritual warrior, because again, what's ruling over Aries is Neptune, because Mars is in Pisces. So Pisces is having all the energy of Neptune's spiritual energy and need to help others and serve others in a compassionate, empathetic way is becoming stronger, because Neptune is the higher octave of Venus, and Venus is exalted in Pisces. So with these two in Aries being ruled by Mars in Pisces, we are getting a ton of empathetic, spiritual, freedom, loving energy through Mars in Pisces. And that's why this situation that's happening now is so rare, that you must use this energy to forgive yourself, love yourself, use that energy to make yourself happy, but not hurting others, obviously, right? So that is the big thing, is that you don't want to hurt other people. And so Venus coming into here is really helping us with also our values. Because the thing is, now that Venus is in Aries, she's now going to be opposing what's in Libra, the moon, right? But the moon shifts out before that. By Monday, with the moon in Scorpio opposing Saturn and Neptune in Aries. That's the big thing that's going to happen then. So with the Scorpio Moon opposing Uranus in Taurus on Monday, we're really going to have surprising changes that could catch up to us. So we're now watching this video and preparing ourselves. These changes are going to involve Taurus, and Taurus is ruled by Venus, who recently, today, moves into Aries. And Venus is being ruled by Mars in Pisces. So Venus right now, again, is the spiritual warrior. So if the Scorpio Moon is opposing Uranus in Taurus, emotionally, we have to release things that we are attached to, like possessions, like our teddy bear, our or clothes we've had for I don't know how long and we can't get rid of them. I've had that happen to me too. So the move I just had to Florida really helped me, but I still have a lot of stuff to get rid of. And then also food, your addictions to food. Like I love rice. Like my husband loves bread. So these are things that we survived on as a species, but now we don't need it as much as we don't do those types of jobs. So these are things we have to kind of release, and it's really difficult. And also this rules over our finances because Venus is about money and finances is ruled by the second house, which is Taurus, who rules the second house, and also rules over our daily work like Virgo does. But Virgo is more of the making the outline. Whereas Taurus, the daily work is more what food am I having for breakfast, for lunch, for dinner? How am I getting, do I have enough money to pay my bills? What do I have to do? That's more of a Taurus thing. And so with this moon in Scorpio, who's a deep diving Mars, Pluto ruled, and again, Mars is in Pisces, so Scorpio moon here is going to be much more empathetic as it tries to figure out its own finances. And if it has to get rid of some bad habits where it's draining money, which I know can happen. So there's just little things going on where you might not have caught it, you know. And again, Mercury's asleep. So this is a good time to redo, you know, redecorate, which I'm thinking about doing. Because after you've been in a place for a year or two, things start to settle, and then you start to see things a little differently, and you start to see how things move in the family area, in your area. And, you know, my boys also starting to move out and do their own thing, the older ones, so I'm starting to get, you know, more room. Got to think about how to adjust that. So this is going to be it for this week. So this is for the weekly astrology report from the 6th to the 13th. My advice for this week, from the energy I'm getting and the impressions that are coming to me as I'm out in the world and listening and talking to people, I would say that one of the biggest problems in the world right now is the male-female dynamic balance. And I said something in my daily on Friday, but I'm going to get a little bit more into it in terms of what I've studied over the years, because this is one of the things that I thought about a lot before I had children, because coming from dysfunctional families, you always wonder, you know, how can you make your family better, or are you going to end up in that same cycle, you know, of dysfunction? And one of the things I realized is that if the mom and the dad, the parents, or whoever the core unit that's raising the children are not really friends, like not drinking buddies. I mean friends like talking, farting, burping in front of each other, that type of friend, where you can hang with each other like you can hang with your girlfriend or your boyfriend, whoever your best friend is, and then they become your best friend. And a lot of times your friends, at least for us anyways, they get angry because you don't hang around with them as much. But it's like, you know, this is going to be my husband. I'm going to spend time with him because it's important that we're going to have children together to be in sync with a lot of things, right? So I kind of feel like this is just part one. I'll do this again next Friday. So I kind of think it begins with the mom and the dad. Even if maybe whatever's going on, once you have children, you have to do what it takes to keep yourself together, number one. And that means whatever is under the surface, beneath the surface, what lies beneath the surface, you know, work on that. And try to really come to some balance, especially with the Libra moon here right now, opposing Saturn and Neptune coming up. It's really just something to think about. If you really want to have kids, really be responsible for the long term. It's not something like a puppy. And you can see how many people put puppies and animals. This Christmas alone in Florida, there was a article about how so many pets were given to the pound because they didn't want them. Whoever they're giving to didn't want the animal, or they couldn't keep the animal for whatever reason. But that's a big deal, and that's a first sign, is if you can take care of someone else besides yourself, is a pet. So I always suggest, because I did it myself, because this is how I started, was experimenting on myself, was getting a cat, and then that cat moved with us to Chicago, and then we moved to a house, and we took in my dog, my parents' dog, because they divorced, so I took in the dog, who was now 20 years old, and so he lived with us until I had my firstborn, and then he passed away. He was so old, and then we moved up to get another house in a suburb, and we still had our cat. No, the cat didn't make it, so we didn't have any pets for a while we were having our 3 babies. We had no pets. That's probably was a good thing. And then when we got another house that was big enough, we got a dog, and that dog lived for 20 years and passed away in that yard. And then we didn't get another dog until we moved to this house, and we bought another house. So it's, my thing is always animals, and how well you can take care of animals shows how well you love yourself. And I know it's not easy. Like right now, I need to brush and clean my dog's matted hair. And so I'm saying to myself, I better take care of my hair as well. So that's how it goes. You know, things aren't perfect when you're human, and that's what being alive is getting a chance to do things every day. You get up, you get a chance to do something differently, try to do something differently. It doesn't always work. You have great intentions in the morning, but things don't always work out that way. So my advice for next week is that to really try to balance these emotions now with Venus in Aries, because she is the star and she does want love and kindness, and she can get obsessive in Aries. So we have to really watch that obsession that Venus can get, especially with Neptune here as well, and her meeting up with Neptune and Saturn today again is going to set the mood for a couple of years coming up here, in terms of she's bringing her messages to Neptune and Saturn that she just had going around the solar system. So really, really learn to understand that women and men are basically the same. The only difference is how we're taught and raised to believe in who we are. That's the only difference. Because it didn't matter how much I was put down as being a girl. As a Leo, I like sports, so I went and continued playing sports even if my parents didn't like it. I kept playing, and I've been injured, I've gotten hurt, and you know, it wasn't anything I wanted to do. It just happened because I was playing sports, a lot of it, and my kind of need to have adventures and do things, and I've hurt myself, but nothing too bad. So that's what I say to my kids. You know, you got to really love what you do. So figure out what it is what you love, and then it won't be like work. I'd be like, hey, my kids are coming from school. I wonder what's going to happen now. I wonder if they're going to want a snack. It's not work, because I love it. And, you know, being a mom doesn't mean that you're lazy or anything. It means this is the hardest work in the world. Do everything you can to raise a human that's going to be a good person that's happy when you're not here, and can take care of themselves and be able to understand what's happening in the world and not be lost. And also be able to have a relationship with others. Okay, thank you. I'm going to go now. My son just got home. As you can hear, my dog's excited. I'll see you guys next week. Thank you. Love you.